Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining the webinar. My name is Elena Kaplun, and I'm the Global Director for Enrollment for Les Roches. And it will be my pleasure today to take you through a journey of telling you a little bit more about our schools here in Switzerland, in Marbella, and also we have our campuses, of course, in China and in Jordan. You will be able to ask questions on the right-hand side of your screen. You'll find a section with questions where you can type in a question if there's something you'd like to have clarified, and I will then be able to answer to your question. You can do that at the end of the presentation or as well whilst we go along, and I'll just come back to the questions in order to provide all the answers that you were looking for. We'll give it another 2 minutes for further attendees who have registered to join, and then we'll get started. Thank you for your patience. Okay, I think we'll get started, and if there will be more participants joining, then that's all right. And I wanted also to take this opportunity to introduce to you Karolina Kasperova, who's with me on the call. She's currently a student at Les Roches here in Switzerland. And I'd like to pass on the mic to Karolina. Maybe you can give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Karolina Kasperova. I'm 20 years old. I'm currently in my second year of hospitality management here in Beluche in Switzerland. I'm the last, we're the last class that is currently in the old type of program, so I'm still in BBA 3. And next year I will be, well, next semester I will be doing BBA 4, and after that attending my second internship. In my first internship, I did it back home in Bratislava, Slovakia. That's pretty much where I come from, but I'm also Czech. But I spent most of my life back in Bratislava in Slovakia and attended an international school there. And that's pretty much a so far summary of myself.
Thank you very much, Karolina. And Karolina will be telling us a little bit more as we go along in the presentation about her journey with Les Roches and her different experiences. Once again, for those who's just joined our webinar, my name is Elena Kaplun, and I'm the Global Director for Enrollment for Les Roches. And Karolina is our student here in Switzerland with Les Roches in her second year of studies. I hope you all can see the screen as I'm sharing a presentation with you that will take us through the next hour or so in order to take you through the Les Roches world and introduce you to the hospitality industry. When you look at the hospitality industry, you probably have an understanding of hotels, and you've traveled and you've visited hotels and airlines. But the hospitality industry and the skills that are conveyed throughout the hospitality education can actually be used across many different sectors. And today I'll be able to introduce you a little bit more to what hospitality is really about, and it's maybe a little bit more than what you actually had in mind originally. A career in hospitality can be, of course, and many students do pursue a career within the big chains in the hotel industry, such as Four Seasons or Ritz or the Intercontinental. But at the same time, many of our students work in other industries such as the luxury sector. or in the technology sector, such as Apple, who come and recruit from our institution. The reason being is that the customer service skills that are conveyed during the education in hospitality are valued by any organization that is driven by customer service and wants to provide a five-star experience to their clients at all different interactions with the clients. Therefore, when you come and enter the program and gain the different skills, you will not only be able to work within the hotel industry itself, but also open up to a very wide network of different careers that I'll be representing to you today in more detail with some of the alumni that we have. To give you some more examples of the possible future that you might have after your completion of a BBA, of a bachelor's program, or a postgraduate diploma or master's or MBA program in terms of divisions or industry, can be event management. We have students who do work and have worked at some of the Olympic Games happening across the world. Marketing, PR, project management and consultancies. We have our students working for major consultancy firms such as HVS, which is particularly in the hospitality industry renowned. Real estate and finance, of course, may it be banking or different real estate companies across the globe. Spa and health management, that is a key partner of Les Roches in terms of the industry where we develop our programs together with ESPA, a major brand within the industry. But luxury retail, and here, just to give you an idea, of course, Louis Vuitton Management Holding themselves are recruiting our students, and we just had the CEO of Hublot, Monsieur Biver, yesterday delivering our leadership series on campus to all the students. I don't know, Carolina, have you had the chance to participate yesterday in the leadership series?
I didn't have the opportunity to attend that, but apparently from what I heard from everybody, it was very successful and very educational, and it's quite a lot of these type of events happen in Les Roches, so it's always interesting and very valuable for everyone at least to attend at least one of those type of events, because it's very good and it's very eye-opening, and not just in terms of hospitality-wise, but just what else can you do in terms of hospitality, not just go into a hotel.
Thank you very much. Yes, I know some of you had classes in the same time. To wrap up, of course, is the travel and tourism industry. We have Qatar Airlines who do recruit our students and many others as well. But I'll introduce you again in more depth to all that as we go along. Now let's talk a little bit about the industry, because obviously when you decide to pursue an education, you want to make sure that when you graduate, there will be enough job opportunities for you. And as Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, pointed out, go into a sector where there is growth, because where there's growth, there is an opportunity. And if we look at the hospitality industry itself, in 2014, it was worth 7.6 trillion. In fact, it contributes 10% to the global GDP. And if we look at predictions, we are looking at a forecast of 3.8% growth until 2025. Of course, if the industry is growing, the demand for talent is growing equivalent at the same level. In 2015, so this year, there are about 284 million jobs in the hospitality industry. And by 2025, the growth is projected by 10.7%, so we'll have over 350 million jobs in the industry. Hotels are opening across the globe for different events. And if we look at, for instance, in March, we had about 300 hotels alone in this 1 month opening across the globe. And that reassures the opportunities that are available within the industry and demonstrates clearly a growth that is developing. At the same time, we are in an experience economy. In the past, the hospitality industry was not necessarily as transparent as we see it today through different tools such as TripAdvisor. I assume many of you check out a hotel online in order to see what did other clients, what did other guests like about the journey, about their stay in that particular hotel. So clients have a lot of power today. And that means that hotels and the hospitality industry has to provide this five-factor experience from the day you encounter a particular hotel brand or a property until the day you leave and beyond that. At the same time, there's a lot of innovation happening. I'm sure you all have used Airbnb before, or BMate, or any of the other apps in order to benefit from cheaper rates than a hotel would offer. But what does that innovation mean for the hospitality industry? Many hotels, of course, offer a room as you would get through an Airbnb, but in order to justify the difference in price, they have to make the difference. They have to be better in terms of their service, in terms of their standards, than what you get through other suppliers like Airbnb and the apartments that we can find. That means the industry has to continue to be innovative and provide the additional reasoning why students should, why guests should actually stay with the hotels. And I've previously referred already to technology. It is driving the industry. Different apps, not only social media related, but in general also apps like Uber, etc., that transform the journey how we do interact today when we are planning a trip or booking a hotel. And probably both an opportunity and a threat to the hospitality industry is social media. Because if you're really good, then guess what? Your TripAdvisor ranking will be high and customers will be giving you very positive reviews that will encourage more guests to come. But on the other side, of course, if you have an unhappy customer, well, how do you manage that? And you will find that specifically across five-star hotels across the globe, it's quite often the general manager himself who manages the TripAdvisor account and the different comments, both positive and negative, in order to reply to the different experiences that the guests have encountered throughout their stay. So if we talk about innovation, if we talk about technology, if we talk about all these changes within the industry, what does it mean for us as educators, and what does it mean for Les Roches? For Les Roches, that means we have to align ourselves and be on top of that game and live those values and those changes as part of our a brand and as part of as our education that we provide to our students, so that when you graduate, you are ready and prepared to cope with the different challenges and changes going on in the industry, and at the same time to demonstrate these skills that the industry is looking for. When we look at the way our education is structured, and I'll let Carolina as well a little bit explain how it works in practical terms. On one side, you have, of course, the business skills. You need to be able to run the business. You need to be able to understand finance, accounting. You need to be able as well to think in an entrepreneurial way, no matter if you want to run your own startup one day or if you want to work in an organization. Entrepreneurship is a skill that is valued across the globe by any employer. But at the same time, we're looking at interpersonal skills. You will never succeed alone. You'll need a team around you. And you'll need people who will believe in you and who will believe in your mission and your vision and will want to collaborate with you. And that takes people skills. At the same time, not just the industry, but in general, the world is very global. So as part of your education, it is important that you have this readiness and open-minded to work at a global level with different cultures and different nationalities across different continents. At Les Roches, we have more than 90 different nationalities represented on the campus that you cannot avoid not acquiring the skill of how to cope with different nationalities and how to accommodate their different perceptions. And at the same time, of course, communication and passion and enthusiasm, that's what drives the whole industry. The hospitality industry is all about the customer. In this hospitality industry is all about the guest and your client, in order to provide at any level, and no matter who you are, Apple, five-star hotel, this five-star service that your clients will want to come back to you again. And all that needs to happen in the 21st century, and the 21st century is very much driven by the digital age. There's so much technology around, and as part of your education, this is integrated in your curriculum, and therefore you will be equipped with a digital advantage when you graduate and once you go through the studies. That technology and all the tools available to you will be easy to use, and you also will be able to think beyond the different technology that's available for you today and integrate that in your success. So Carolina, maybe you can tell us a little bit from your perspective as a student on how did you find the combination between your education so far, the business skill element as well as the interpersonal skills in terms of the integration during your study process?
So regarding the business skills, there's a great balance between practical skills and academic skills. For example, in terms of the practical skills, it's usually it's currently divided into 3 weeks. Your rotations, it's a 3-week rotation. So you start, for example, with practical. And that is neither currently I'm in my kitchen semester, so I was learning how to cook in our restaurants on our campus. And then you have after those 3 weeks, you go into academic, which is very good because not just what you learn during your practical skills, you can also kind of incorporated during your academic subjects, such as teamwork, which is very essential also in the business aspect and also in the practical part.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Carolina.
Type of subjects that I so far. Yeah.
Sorry, I think the connection was a little bit. So let me introduce you then even more so to the world of Les Roches. As I mentioned already during my introduction, Les Roches is part of a global network because we believe this is important that you can get your education, undergraduate and postgraduate education in a global environment and also have the opportunities within the institutions that you choose, like Les Roches, to benefit from transfer opportunities and to study a different location and experience different cultures. So our main campus that is here in Switzerland in the beautiful mountains of Tramontana is the headquarters. This is where we originally started, and then since then Les Roches has developed over the years and build more history, where we have opened up a campus in Spain, in Marbella, in the south of Spain. We have another campus in Jordan, Amman, that specializes specifically in culinary arts. We have a campus in China, in Shanghai, in order to also give the experience of the Asian culture for those students who are looking to gain more understanding of that. And at the same time, we're currently in the process of opening our new campus, which is planned for next year in Chicago in the USA. And you will see that during the different programs that we offer, you can either at any point in time choose to transfer to one of the campuses, or you can actually benefit from the Global Bachelor Degree program, where your program is set so that you will spend 1 semester at least in one of these destinations. You study in Switzerland and Spain and in Shanghai, in the future, of course, when the campus is open in the USA, to get this global experience throughout your education. And let's not forget, you have 2 internships as part of your studies, where as well you can choose any destination in the world in order to do this internship and experience different cultures and different countries. So this campus in Switzerland, I'll just give you a small overview. We have about 1,600 students and in total on campus. And for undergraduate students, there are about 1,400 students who will be on campus. And there's always about 500 students who are out on internships, as you have heard from Carolina. Some semesters are planned internships that you have to take. 98% of the students are international, and the other 2% are, of course, Swiss students, since we are located here in Switzerland, and therefore it's a very diverse student network. You can also see the different origins by the continent, which are represented on campus. But the most important factor here probably are the 89% of employability. And that means 89% of our students have a job before they graduate. They have multiple offers offered to them, and they're able to choose from the different options that are available, because we have a variety of industry partners who come and visit us every semester. And this is very important factor, that by the time you graduate, you have an 89% probability that you will actually have a job. Of course, some students decide to continue into postgraduate education. Some students may decide to do military services based on where they come from, their countries. And that's why this is a realistic representation of the different interests of students who want to move into careers, and some others who want to do some other projects or travel as well, of course, for 6 months after you've had some challenging 3.5 years of your study. For Les Roches in Spain, in Marbella, this campus is slightly smaller. You have about 800 students, 450 of them are undergraduate students. 78% of the students are international, because we have a higher presence of domestic students from Spain who come and study with us. The reason for that is that Les Roches Marbella is ranked #1 hospitality management school in Marbella, and therefore it's very popular for Spanish people to stay locally and study. A lot of the students in Marbella come from Europe in general, because Spain is a very popular destination for Europeans. And again, you see the employability rate is about the same as in Switzerland, and that's because our global internship and career placement department is the same for all the campuses across the globe, and the different employers who come and recruit our students, they come to Marbella, they come to Switzerland, and to the other campuses as well. The campus in China is younger and therefore slightly smaller. We have about 500 students. Of course, a lot of students in China tend to also start their education in Shanghai with us, and therefore quite a few of them come from Asia Pacific and Europe, and then continue further on in Europe, in Switzerland, or in Marbella in Spain. And the Royal Academy of Culinary Arts in Raqqa. This is, as I mentioned earlier, a very renowned institution in the region again, and is specifically of interest to anybody of you who's interested in culinary arts. Because it has such a valuable reputation locally, the employability rate is also very high, and the education is very valued by the industry locally. And Les Roches Chicago is our new property that we will be opening up throughout the next year. We will only be offering our undergraduate programs to start with, and I will leave you tuned on for that when more information will follow in the next coming months about our campus in Les Roches Chicago. So what is our mission and what is our vision? Our mission is to prepare students committed to an international career in hospitality. And how are we going to do that? Let's look at our values. Now, I think the first one, global, is very clear and obvious. You have seen the student body and the diversity in the student body. You have seen our different campuses that we have across the globe, and embedded in the education is the global mindset that we reinforce through the different practical and through the theoretical courses that you will have on campus. Entrepreneurial. As I've mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship is a key skill that employers are looking for, and we would like for our students to be in an environment that is entrepreneurial and where they can understand what entrepreneurship is about. We have different clubs where you can get some further support. If you have actually an idea for your own business or for your own startup, you can join the Startup Mountain, and our faculty in entrepreneurship will be delighted to support you in thinking your ideas through, to the extent of actually presenting your idea to a venture capitalist if this is what you want to do. Entrepreneurship may not be for everybody in terms of starting up their business, but the entrepreneurial mindset and the thinking is something that everybody has to portray in today's world of change and innovation. Which brings us to our next value, which is being innovative. if you want to keep up with the change and with the world, you have to constantly look at what is happening there and how can you improve yourself, how can you improve your company, how can you improve your product, and that will apply to you when you come out. This is the questions that you will have to ask yourself. And as part of your education, we demonstrate you what innovation is about. You'll see that there's a lot happening on campus. We've just hosted our TEDx event last week, which was also related to the topic of innovation. And I know, Carolina, you've been part of the organizing committee as well on that.
Yes, I've been. It was a great experience.
Exactly. We had the keynote speakers coming from different countries talking about innovation, different startups, about education. Technology is very much embedded into the education. For students who will be arriving on campus in July, everybody will receive an iPad, which is of course equipped with the different apps that will support you through your study process. You'll find all your books loaded on iBooks. There's a lot of interaction and communication with faculty, and we have a techno lab where students have the opportunity to embed some 3D printing for their project, or if you want to make a short video for your project, we also have our team that will support you to do so. Maybe you want to develop an app. Again, our staff is there to support you and to show you how this can be done. So what we believe is a complete education starts with transfer knowledge, building competencies, and broadening the mind. And what do we mean by transfer knowledge? And that's the reason why we say a career in hospitality is not just hotels. Because when you look at the skills that you will acquire throughout your education, we're talking about financial management, we're talking about marketing, HR, which are all skills that are going to be used by you in any business environment that you may ever work in. Even if you run your own startup, even if you run in an NGO, you'll still have to understand what is marketing, what is financial management, what is human resources. And of course, rooms division management and food and beverage management are more hospitality related courses that you can then apply further in industries such as events, for instance, as well, or travel and tourism. When it comes to building competences, it's about developing the interpersonal skills and attributes. So we're talking about different ways of learning. As you might have heard, the first leadership skill that is stated across multiple research papers is self-awareness. What do people think about me? How do I come across? Am I too pushy, or am I too laid back, or maybe am I too extroverted? Maybe I'm too introverted. It doesn't matter who you are, as long as you're self-aware and as long as you know who the person is in front of you, so that you can adapt your style. At the same time, it's critical thinking and analytical skills. How do you solve problems? How can you think innovatively and demonstrate entrepreneurial spirit? And last but not least, it's the cultural awareness and the teamwork. Yesterday, during our leadership series with Monsieur Bieber from Hublot, if I may quote, he said, "We're nothing without our people." And this is exactly true. What any good CEO in the world will tell you. He's only successful and his company is only successful because of the people who work with him. And it's sometimes not easy to convince people to support your opinion or join in with an opinion that you may not like. So it's important that you start early on in your education embedding that understanding of how can you work together with people, manage different, manage different conflicts, and getting the buy-in and negotiate. It's a key skill that will take you far if you can actually manage that skill. And it's about broadening your mind. You will never be successful if you only look through the lens of your industry in terms of what is happening, the changes that your competitor is doing right or left. There are many examples that different industries will replace another industry, for instance. When we look at the iPhone, for instance, it's changed the world, of course, and the iPhone didn't come from the telecommunication industry where we would have expected it to come from. The iPhone came from the IT industry and from Apple. Do we know if many people in the telecommunication industry naturally looked into IT 10, 15 years ago in order to anticipate a threat there? No, we don't. Therefore, it is important to understand the world, to see the big picture of what is happening, but also be ethical and have a moral. Understand political international affairs, and that is particularly a very sensitive subject if you're working with different nationalities and different cultures. Understanding scientific principles as well as a historical perspective. All these general education courses that you will have throughout your education will broaden your mind and help you build an understanding of the big picture and not just look inside your industry or any particular industry at a point in time when making important decisions. So let's look a little bit more into detail now into the programs that you can study with Les Roches. And again, for those of you who may have only joined later on, you have a section on the right side of your screen that is questions. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, or of course at the end as well, please feel free to type your question and I'll be happy to revert back to that. So the undergraduate program are bachelor programs, of course, and as long as you have completed your high school diploma, then this is the program that you will be able to enroll, and I'll talk to you later a little bit about admissions criteria and what exactly it is that you need to have completed in terms of your high school education. For those of you on the call who are actually taking the IB, the International Baccalaureate program, I would like to point out two things. One, for anybody, of course, who's interested to study an undergraduate program with us, can participate in our summer programs. Those run both in Switzerland and in Spain. You can decide to participate 2 weeks or 1 week, and you can actually also decide to do 1 week in Switzerland and 1 week in Spain. And many of the students who are not yet sure whether hospitality is the right thing for them and want to get a bit of an insight and, of course, experience the campus, do take our summer programs in order to get a feel for Les Roches, for the faculty and for the students. And many of them actually decide to proceed with education because they have such a great time here in Switzerland. So you can, if you have any further interest, of course, get in touch with your educational counselor and he will be able to give you further details on how to register for the summer program. And I've previously just referred to the students amongst you who are taking the International Baccalaureate, which is an organization that provides the International Baccalaureate High School Diploma, and we're hosting the next IB World Conference, World Student Conference, and under the topic of global responsibility, where students will be able to come to our campus to engage, connect, and act on sustainable subjects. And if somebody of you is on the IB program, because it's only open to this to students taking this qualification, we would love to welcome you here in the summer, and it will be between the 3rd and the 9th July in 2016 in Switzerland. Looking at the structure of the bachelor program, what happens when you decide to start your education, your bachelor program with us? You'll be committing to 3.5 years of education with Les Roches, and you will graduate with a bachelor in business administration in international hotel management. Throughout the course of these studies, you will spend semester 1 and 2 on campus in Switzerland or in Marbella or in Shanghai, and you'll have both academic classes, but you'll also have practical classes. And that's what Carolina mentioned to us earlier. You have to work in the service in the kitchen, so basically the school itself is more or less run like a hotel. So you will be served by students when you come to have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner at school, and the food that you'll be eating at the campus will be cooked by the students in the second semester, who will explore the different techniques from pastry to a la carte dining, etc. Of course, this is to introduce you to the standards of the industry, but at the same time, you will find that a lot of the soft skills are actually being shaped during semester 1 and 2 when you start working first time in your teams and you have to be on time, and you have to make sure that everything is ready when the guests will arrive, and there's quite a lot of pressure, and it's a very new experience for most of our students, and therefore a lot of the personality is developing during that point, during that part of your studies to start with. And then you'll go out for your first internship. Specifically for the first internship, you will get a lot of support from our careers development and internship placement department, who will be able to guide you on your CV. They'll be able to prepare you for interviews, of course. And in general, you have, I think this year we had 158 different recruiters coming to the campus in order to present to our students and recruit them for internships or jobs. That's basically a company every second day if you take it during the holidays through the year. And that means that you have a very wide opportunity to meet potential employers, to engage with them, to learn and to broaden your knowledge again about the different industries, because you'll have hotels, you'll have real estate companies, event companies, etc. will come to the campus. After your first internship, which is often somewhere in the operational part of a hotel, for instance, or a restaurant, or any business, you will then come back and you have your administration, your semester 4, where there's no more practical elements in the same way as you find during your first 2 semesters. This is where you work through a lot of projects and have a lot of the financial and human resources classes and marketing classes where you go more into that than before. And then the second internship is more on a administrative level, where potentially you might be working as an intern in a sales marketing department or other different departments in a hotel, but less service, unless of course this is what your passion is and this is where you want to go. And then you come back for semester 6 and 7, where you will have management courses. You'll have your capstone project, which is a big challenge for the students. You'll be working on business plans, financial models, and really get the business skills of the program. During semester 6 and 7, you also have the opportunity to choose one of the 7 specializations available to you. And this is a decision that you don't have to make today when you sign up for the course, but this is a decision you can take as you go through the process of your studies, because you may not know much about finance or marketing today. And during your studies, you will get introduced to these subjects, which will allow you then to develop a better understanding, as well as the internship placements that you will have. You'll see those different departments in action, and you'll be interacting with them, and you can identify what speaks to you more. So the specializations available to you are finance, marketing, innovation and sustainability, culinary business management, and this is where, if you were to choose the specialization, you have to spend you will have to spend 1 semester at either Kendall College in Chicago, which is our partner school, or at the Royal Academy of Culinary Arts in Jordan that I had introduced to you earlier as part of our group. Event management, of course, a very popular specialization. Fine health management, and that specialization has been specifically, in particular, developed with the industry together. Of course, we get input for all our specializations from the industry, but because fine health management is not commonly found in general, we have been approached by the industry in order to develop the specialization for students who want to move into that sector. And entrepreneurship, again, one of the most popular ones, where you get to do your business plans and you get the full support from the campus of what it takes to develop and lead a successful company. The other option in terms of a bachelor program that you can opt for is the Bachelor in Global Hospitality Management. We are the one and only in the hospitality industry offering that global bachelor in a BBA in Global Hospitality Management, where you move with your class. That means when you arrive on semester 1, you start always here in Switzerland, and then depending on where you start, January and July, you spend your second semester in China, in the duration here slightly different based on the time you would start. And then you move with your class together to Spain. Again, you have the same internship opportunities across the globe, and then you come back for 2 more semesters in Switzerland with an internship in between. So the process is, the structure is slightly different. It's the same duration, it's 3.5 years. And the important part here is that when you move with your class to the different campuses, you have a proper cultural integration where you have additional excursions in order to learn more about China, about Shanghai, of course, and about Spain, because you're spending there only 6 months, and therefore we want to make sure that you can also get the culture to know as much as possible during that period of time. I know some of you may be interested in postgraduate programs, and our postgraduate programs are for students, of course, who do already have a bachelor's degree. And that can be students from our institution who decide to continue with their education, or of course students who come from the outside. Now, if you have a bachelor degree already, and but you've never ever worked or studied anything related to hospitality, but you would love a career in hospitality, then the postgraduate diploma in hospitality administration is your first introduction to that. It's a 1-year program with 6 months internship that introduces you to the world of the hospitality, where you both get the technical but also the practical skill. For anybody of you who maybe have already a bachelor degree in hospitality, then you can pursue a Master's of Science in Hospitality Leadership. This is a popular path for students who also start our bachelor program and then want to graduate directly with a master's program, and therefore they can stay on campus for another year to do the master's program. And last but not least, our MBA in hospitality, which can be either with a specialization in marketing or finance. And this is for somebody who has at least 4 years work experience, and you have already been in the industry, and therefore you're looking for the next step in your career in order to develop further, which is particularly for career climbers, somebody who is already from hospitality. The hospitality in itself is, as I've mentioned earlier, a customer-centric industry. It's about the customer focus. It's any industry or division within a company where you want to be working with people. And it's hotels and resorts, marketing and consultancy, luxury retail. I've already mentioned several of them to you, but just to recap again, that we're not just talking about a career in hotels. Of course, it is one of the main areas as well. Now let's look at what happens to you once you graduate from Les Roches and the different career paths that are available to you. And here we will be using our real alumni who have studied with Les Roches and since, of course, graduated. And just to give you an example, we have Anne Schinken, who works with Louis Vuitton as client development events assistant in luxury sector. We have in airlines and travels, we have, for instance, Konstantin from Germany, who works for Secret Escapes as a supply chain project manager. When we look at events and meets, we have Panos, who has graduated from Les Roches and is the head of events and hospitality for the Olympic Committee. In hotels, there are many examples that I could list. We have, for instance, Ronan Nissenbaum, who's the managing director of Waldorf Astoria, and Rada, who is the president of Rosewood Hotels. Real estate and finance, Dr. Catherine Stutter, who is the head of investment and transactions at England & Völkers, which is a global real estate company, but also Matthias, who works as a sales associate at Bloomberg. For spa and health, you'll find Pfizer, which is a major multinational in the pharma industry. Gary is a key account executive, and so on. There are so many other examples that I could list to you, but this is just to give you a bit of a feel for the diversity and the career progression and what you can achieve after a degree. So quite often I get the students to ask, ask me, you know, how do you know, will I fit in? Am I a Les Roches student or not? Well, let me give you a couple of characteristics that we're looking for when choosing the candidates who will study with us, both at undergraduate and at postgraduate level. We want to see people we want to see students who are people-minded. They are passionate, enthusiastic, and they want to be creative. They are driven and they're determined because they want to achieve and be successful in their professional lives as well as in their personal lives, of course. They can demonstrate motivation. They can demonstrate multicultural exposure so that you may not have lived in different countries as many of the students who study with us, but you might have traveled a lot or done summer courses somewhere else or been involved in some volunteer projects, for instance. We want to see that you are globally minded because, of course, when you arrive on a campus with more than 90 different nationalities, you want to make friends and you want to be able to connect with as many people as possible. And you care about providing high standards of service, whoever you work with. Is it your friends or is it your teachers or is it your employers, or if you were in volunteer projects, to the project sponsors, you care about the quality of work that you do, and you want to make sure that the projects that you're involved are at a particular level so that whoever is receiving it on the other end is satisfied. And of course, you can demonstrate some academic excellence that you have had through your previous education. In terms of the actual admissions criteria for our undergraduate programs, we require a minimum age of 17 and a half years or above. You must hold a secondary education diploma. And again, here, I know some of you come from different countries. You can refer to our website or, of course, talk to your educational counselors to understand whether your secondary educational diploma is enough in order to enter our studies. In general, if you have taken 12 years of education, then this is what is required. And of course, English proficiency is very important because your education will be in English. Now, many students who come to us and maybe have taken an English proficiency exam but not reached the score we're looking for may opt to take an intensive language program, either with us on campus, or of course you can do that with any other provider in order to boost your English skills. But you have to demonstrate English proficiency because all your classes will be in English, and of course you'll have to write your exams and assignments in English as well. And on top of that, you have to provide us with 2 essays where we would like to see the skills that I was just referring to, which is you'll have to write us about why do you want to study with us, what is your motivation, and demonstrate some of those skills in your essay, and a post-study plan of what are your career ambitions, what is it that you'd like to do afterwards. Now, of course, we know some of you have maybe only just a vague idea of where you want to go, and we don't expect you to know exactly where you'll be if you don't know yet. This is what the education will be for, and this is what the internships will be for. But we want to see the drive in you and the desire that you want to be successful in what you do. Carolina, now if you think back to when you were deciding what am I going to do for my undergraduate program, finishing high school and what's going to happen next, what were the questions you had, and then why did Les Roches appeal to you?
Okay. Well, a lot of things were going through my mind because I didn't, at first I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but after, well, basically since I did IB in my school, they were kind of helping out in terms of like what I want to do, and I was like, oh, I'm quite interested in hospitality. So one of our educational counselor gave me this presentation that I could possibly attend, and it was done by Laureate in I think 3 years ago already in Bratislava, and that was quite interesting. I attended that presentation, and it was kind of the main key for me to know that, okay, I want to attend this school, and the main questions that were kind of going through my mind is that, ooh, this school is a really good school. how can I fit in, and pretty much what you, if you have the determination and if you have the motivation, and especially if you don't have to be like absolutely academically excellent in everything, but if there's passion and if you have the creativity, you're basically capable of getting anywhere. And Les Roches is very good in this because it enhances your skills in basically anything. It kind of pushes you out of your bubble, makes you a little bit more comfortable, and what was already mentioned in terms of like the diversity between students is that's one of the biggest advantages that's currently in the school, and I personally think that's one of the greatest advantages, and that's kind of why I, in the end, was like, yay, Les Roches is the way for me to go. And I applied and I got in, so.
We're happy to have you with us. Before I move on, I'm going to go back to the questions because I see some of you wanted for me to clarify a few points. I'm going to read out the questions to you and do my best to answer them, of course. So what are the different courses offered in the MBA program? I haven't gone into too much detail in this presentation for either of the programs in terms of the courses, and you can go back, of course, to our website under the MBA program, and you will see immediately the different courses offered. But I'm more than happy to give you an overview. So during the first semester, you'll have courses such as leadership and development. You'll have strategic hospitality marketing, sustainability. You'll be looking at trends in tourism and hospitality. Of course, data analysis and decision making, which is very important at an MBA level. Strategic operational management, etc. And there's some more. I'm just giving you a couple so that you have a bit of a feel. And during the second semester, you'll have business economics and strategic management, revenue and pricing management, tourism destination and event planning, as well as your applied research project. And for that, you will be working with an industry partner. We have worked with Kempinski very successfully over the many years. We have worked with Bon Rivage, which is a 5-star chain across Europe, and many other. And that means that you will be working on a challenge that a company within the hospitality industry has with your team and resolving a particular problem for them. And it may be a question like, which market should we enter next, right? And then you can choose your specializations for the MBA program, which is either finance or marketing. And of course, for finance, you'll have corporate finance as a course, hospitality, real estate, as well as investment strategies for financial markets and asset management. And for the marketing one, you'll have consumer behavior, brand marketing, and e-marketing. I hope that answers your question. Please refer to our website for further details, or feel free to type your next question if you'd like to have something more clarified on that. Another question is, how can it benefit in political and international affairs? I assume you refer how can a degree in hospitality management potentially benefit you if you want to pursue a career in political international affairs. Actually, we do have our students working both at the World Economic Forum and at the United Nations, which are clearly organizations that are active in that space. Because again, it comes back down to the basic skills where we talk about the business skills and the project management skills, and the same when we talk about the cultural skills and the diversity skills and the global mindset that you obviously get conveyed throughout your education. The general education courses that you will have as part of your degree, which you can actually choose yourself. So there are some courses that you'll have which are compulsory, and some courses that are that you can choose from. And again, if you're interested in political and international affairs, I would strongly recommend you during your general education courses to choose an option that will, again, support more education in that particular area. And the next question is, what is the eligibility criteria in terms of experience and age? So for undergraduate levels, I'm not sure which specifically you're asking. So for undergraduate, it's 17.5 years. And for the MBA, it's 24 years old and 2 years of work experience after graduation. The next question from Elias is, what are the practical parts you learned during the first 2 years and internships besides cooking? Cooking is an element of it. In the practical parts you have during the first semester, it's service. And here we're looking at wine and understanding bar and beverages. You'll get a chance to make a few cocktails as well and to understand that side of the business. You'll also have the different service standards. There's a la carte dining, or there's banqueting. There's Michelin star dining, of course, if you're familiar with that. These skills are important to understand what it takes to run a restaurant, what it does it take to run a food and beverage outlet in any context, really. That can be within a hotel, but that can be obviously a standalone outlet. And you'll also learn how to design a restaurant to have the maximum capacity, for instance. Because if you're doing it so that you drive revenues, then you have one objective. Whereas if you have a Michelin star restaurant, where clearly the business model is very different, how do you design that? So it's not just the basic skill of service, but actually how to make an F&B outlet from a service perspective successful across customer satisfaction, revenue, operations, etc. And during the second semester, when you are in the kitchen, of course, yes, you do learn the basic skills of cooking, but trust me, we do have alumni who still don't know how to cook once they graduate, because we're not really educating chefs, right? Carolina, I think you can agree to that. We're teaching, yes, again, the thinking methodology behind what it takes to run a successful kitchen outlet, because you'll be surprised how much money you can save or make by how you plan your menu, wastage control, how you can design your kitchen again so that your staff get less tired, for instance. All these management tools behind it, and maybe, I don't know, I happen to be an alumna of Les Roches myself, that's why I can talk very practically about it, but it's been quite a few years for me. So maybe, Carolina, you have something more to add to this question.
So regarding kitchen, if you're regarding your question, it's well, currently, as Emma mentioned, it's very done in that way that they don't teach you how to like be Gordon Ramsay or something like that, but the main thing is that you have to learn how to get the basics done, which is like wastage, which they kind of force you to scrape everything, because in such a big, especially in such a big school as Les Roches, even if we scrape, there's a huge amount of food waste accumulated during the time, and they teach you the basics, like regarding teamwork and how to work, and in such a mass production in terms of like marketplace, which is one of our biggest outlets on campus. And then regarding fine dining, which is taco, that's kind of where you learn a little bit more of cooking, but it's mainly about how to run a restaurant, what are the essentials. If you can imagine being, for example, a chef or a restaurant person or a manager, and I think it's very useful because not that just you get a little bit of cooking done, but it's mainly about the essentials of how to do all these type of things, and it in general, as a person, you develop more, and it's a great experience. And I'm currently done with kitchen, so I'm on my last 3 weeks of academics, so I enjoyed it really much. So it's very useful, and I recommend for everybody to at least experience it.
Thank you very much, Carolina. And I think one last question for the moment in terms of the Master of Science in Hospitality Leadership. What is the eligibility in terms of age and experience? This program is for hospitality graduates only. So if you have done a bachelor in hospitality or related field, then you can start onto the master's program. And in terms of age, it's 21, but there's no work experience required for this program. Again, if you'd like us to assess your profile, please feel free to send it to your education counselor. If you have a CV or you want to talk about your eligibility for the program, we'll be happy to look at your profile directly. Before I go back to some of the other questions that there are, I'd like to just move on. Maybe some of them will be answered in the last couple of slides that we have remaining. So just for you to remember in terms of application deadlines and the application process, once we receive your full application, you will then be invited for accountability assessment. That is basically an interview where we will be able to assess your suitability for the program. And we have our programs always start in July and August and January, February, and the application deadlines you can see for the winter intake is in November 15th, and for the summer by May 15th. But anybody requiring a visa needs to account for an extra 6 weeks ahead of the application deadline, because we want to make sure that there's enough time for you, depending on the country you're coming from, to secure the visa. So what are the reasons to come to Les Roches? Why are we different than maybe some other schools? And, you know, let me just tell you a little bit in short what I've just spoken about and bring it to a couple of basic points again. First of all, Les Roches is ranked amongst the top 3 hospitality management schools in the world. And our reputation obviously exceeds us by just looking at how many different employers recruit our students and the reputation in the industry. It's very often that I walk into a 5-star hotel and it happens that somebody in this hotel is actually working, who's working there is a Les Roches alumni, and sometimes I actually happen to know the people, which is quite a surprise. Accreditation is a very important aspect. Accreditation means that our degrees are controlled by an independent organization and guarantee a level of standards, of course. And in this case, with us is the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, which also accredits top institutions in the world, such as Harvard and MIT, and sets our academic standards. And accreditation is also important for when you will want to continue your education going forward and to potentially your master's degree or further education. I've given you already quite some idea in terms of the different employers who come to recruit from us, and the number is really impressive. And again, you can see just for yourself. I'm sure you'll recognize many of the brands you can see on the screen: Booking.com, Hyatt, Bloomberg, Intercontinental, Shangri-La, etc. It is a global learning environment. Studying with more than 90 nationalities on one campus is a truly unique experience. Not only whilst you study, but when you graduate, you'll also have a global network that if you'll be running a business or you'll be working for an organization, and then you're based in Germany and you have to travel to Brazil and you need some local connections, well, you're going to call up your old friends and say, hi, I'm coming to Brazil, could you help me? And of course, our Swiss campus, and in general, we've started out of Switzerland, and the Swiss standards are maintained at the campuses. Switzerland is a very popular destination and worldwide known for education and the educational standards, but also it is a business hub and the 4th most innovative country in the world. Considering that what's going on globally at the moment, Switzerland has a stable economy and a stable political climate, and therefore companies such as Nestle, Novartis, Richemont, UBS, really global brands, choose to be headquartered here in Switzerland because they can find the talent and because they have the infrastructure that the country provides in order to operate in a safe environment. Switzerland is actually not only known for its education, but also for education that prepares for careers. We have the lowest youth unemployment rate in Europe. And that is also a strong sign for when you choose a country or institutions to study, that they do understand what it is that employers are looking for. You'll see if you arrive on campus, all our students have to wear a particular uniform. Now, we don't provide you with a uniform. Your uniform are your own suits, and it's a professional dress code, and we take it very seriously. Therefore, it is a very professional environment because, again, if you walk in to the employers that we've just presented to you and you want to provide a 5-star customer-facing environment, then you better be in with the right attire yourself at all times. We disrupt the traditional education model. You'll find different things with us that maybe are fairly unique. You'll have some online support throughout your internships. I've mentioned earlier the iPads are integrated in the learning process. We have Mac labs where you can design different applications and have your IT classes in that environment. But also if you're in different campuses across the globe, we connect our campuses. For instance, Marbella yesterday joined in order to participate live during the leadership series and also be able to ask questions. So we have the technology to support what it takes in the 21st century to provide education that is relevant to the environment. And an innovative approach to learning. We're looking at a combination of soft skills and business skills. Different studies have been conducted by some of the leading organizations on what it is that employers are really valuing in candidates and in graduates in particularly. And yes, of course, they expect to have the intelligence and the hard skills, but at the same time, they want to see the soft skill side and the business acumen that you can demonstrate. And the campus facility. You can see a little bit on the photo at the bottom is the campus, and it is really a campus, so it's not just one building, it's multiple buildings. You live in the same areas because you have student accommodation that is on campus, you have different restaurant outlets, so it's a true experience and it's a true community that has a lot of social events together and studies together and organizes different events like the TEDx that was hosted at Les Roches just a couple of weeks ago. And last but not least, like I've mentioned to you, there is a life after Les Roches, and being able to pick up the phone no matter where you go in the world and calling up a friend is quite impressive. This is a photo from our alumni reunion in Dubai, and as it happens, I do recognize several of the people there because they went to university during the times when I was there as well. Our alumni network of Les Roches is more than 11,000 people in 129 countries, and that is quite impressive, and we do a lot of events and reunions and connect our alumni so they can leverage their expertise and their network. So I hope I was able to give you an overview of Les Roches and you found the presentation interesting and insightful. There are a couple more questions left, which I'm happy to answer, and I believe we'll be wrapping up this session then. Are there any courses in terms of travel and tourism? Yes, you do have travel and tourism courses in the curriculum, absolutely. What are the benefits of taking finance and specialization? There is no benefit to either specialization, really. It depends on where do you want to go next. So if you want to have a job in finance, of course, taking a specialization in finance will prepare you better for that. But another benefit, if you're actually not really good in finance, would still recommend to take you finance because you can increase your levels, and by the time you graduate, it won't be an area of weakness, but it will become an area of strength to you. Do we have an online or part-time program for the master's or MBA? No, we don't have that currently available. And the rest of the question, sorry, are you focused on digitalization and studies connected to IT, virtual reality and hospitality, online applications, hospitality future connected to IT development? Yes, we do look a lot into all those trends, and we introduce our students to what is happening in the IT world and how technology is shaping the hospitality environment. about entrepreneurship MBA, what kind of team can help me to develop my own project, and what kind of investment can I look and apply for. So when you'll be on campus, and let's say you have a business idea that you'd like to go with and run once you graduate, you'll have the team of both your your classmates and our faculty who will help you work on your business plan, who will help you and challenge you on your business model, of course, to make it interesting for venture capitalists. And after that, again, through our faculty who is specialized on entrepreneurship and has the right connections, we'll be able to connect you with different opportunities for investments that might be interesting, that might be interested in your sort of startup.